guess I better get over
Hi, I'm David with EV World News. We talk about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. And I'm here today with our founder and chief editor, Bill Moore. How's it going, Bill?
Fine, but I can't see you because I've lost the page.
Well, that's a tragedy. And
But that's
probably
okay. I'll. There we are. Okay, now we're back.
nice,
All right.
nice. So I saw this post on LinkedIn by somebody with this biggest source of power in every state and province in 2024. Now, this was kind of interesting because the guy was coming out saying solar doesn't lead in any single state. And where I was really kind of surprised about this, if I can enlarge this a little bit, let's see, make that a little bit bigger, is Nebraska. Our number one energy source is coal.
Yep.
So I had to actually go do a little research on that. It's like, that really true?
Yep.
So I did some research, and apparently here in Nebraska, we are overall, this depends on what we're, for electricity, 45% coal, 30% wind, 17% nuclear. Only 6% natural gas. Somehow we have 2% hydroelectric from the Gavin's Point Dam.
Yes. Yeah. There's a couple of hydro dams that do generate power, and
I didn't know we had
not
that.
just Gavin's Point. There's some other dams along some of the, like the Loop River and some of those things that does some generation as well. Not much, power of
And-
small, rural community type of thing.
And less than 1% each was solar, biomass, and landfill gas. But in
Yep.
terms of renewables, wind is 92% of the state's renewable energy.
Oh yeah. Yep. I believe that.
We have 3.5 gigawatts of installed wind capacity, and we're 18th nationally for existing wind energy capacity, which is pretty amazing because we're not in the top 18 states for population. But most wind farms are located in eastern Nebraska. Go figure. The funny thing was, when I'm looking at this chart, obviously Iowa, Minnesota, South Dakota, Kansas, Oklahoma. That wouldn't surprise me that it's wind. And I guess this is New Mexico over here. All wind. That's pretty surprising, I think.
Yeah. Now I want you to notice where the dark gray is: Nebraska,
Mhm.
Montana, Wyoming, Utah, and then look at where the coal fields are and the railroad that takes the coal from those fields and moves them to the East Coast. There's a correlation between cheap coal coming out of those coal fields in Wyoming and Montana, and why we're so dependent on it in this state.
Does this have something to do with Warren Buffett?
Oh no, it's got nothing to do with Warren Buffett. It has something to do. My theory is has something to do with one of the larger employers in the state called Union Pacific. Although no, he doesn't own Union Pacific, does he? No, he owns Southern Pacific or something like that.
Oh, I thought they owned UP. I guess they don't. But it's interesting to look at some of these things. You look up here, way up here in the Great North. You've got oil, Alaska oil, Hawaii oil, but then you got all the rest of Canada, hydro, natural gas in 2 provinces, which is just
happens to be where all their oil and tar sands are located.
Yep. And then we got hydro in a couple states in the U.S., a little bit of hydro over here in Vermont, and but we got nuclear in, it looks like, Nova Scotia and Ontario, Illinois, Tennessee, South Carolina, and this looks like Maryland to me. I could be wrong. Is that Maryland here? I really
I don't know. I
can't
can't.
tell.
I can't see the map very well.
It is
So
Maryland. It is Maryland.
okay.
Anyways, but then you got a lot of natural gas states in here, obviously Texas. What's interesting is the top two states for solar are California and Texas, but they're still top with,
Yeah.
um, you know,
Oh, good.
natural
That's
gas.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're seeing renewables kick in there though.
Well,
Um,
I was at a political party monthly meeting last night, and
mhm,
one of the gentlemen stood up. He is running for Congress, and
mhm.
what's his background? He's a renewable energy guy who's been installing renewable energy for the last 10 years, something like
Mhm.
that, solar installer. Um, Interestingly, before that, he was a Hollywood actor.
There you go. Well,
Yeah,
that's perfect for being in Congress.
that for being absolutely.
You know, it's all a bunch of show live on CNBC.
He played a policeman.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, you know, that probably get them some votes. Let's see. All right, but anyways, I just found that to be kind of an
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
interesting piece.
Well,
So,
this is why we'd like to, get the North Omaha OPVD power plant. That thing finally shut down because it's had a deleterious effect on the North Omaha black community, and they've been lobbying for decades to get that thing shut down, and at least convert it over to use natural gas, or take that coal waste field and coal pile field and put solar in there. But
yeah, it
we're
would make
we're still
sense.
working on that.
You know, I can see the funny thing is coal seems to be surrounded by housing where they have coal plants, whereas solar is way out in the sticks, right? It really needs
Generally
the way
speaking, yes.
around, right? You'd be a
Yeah.
lot better off living by a solar farm than you would by a coal plant, that's for sure.
Oh, doesn't solar give you cancer? Oh no, sorry, that's wind that gives you cancer.
Did he really say that?
Yes, he does.
He really did say that wind gives people cancer.
Really? He just said it over in England in a tirade to the Prime Minister. Yes,
Yeah.
he does.
I just wonder if that got taken out of context.
Oh,
But
I
that's
know.
kind of funny. I
How
just
do you
can't
take it out
imagine
of
that.
context? He rants about wind all the time.
True, true. Wow. Oh, we got new scale SMR on the stock here. It's up 1%
Oh,
today. It
okay.
cratered yesterday. It went down like 37%.
Ow!
Their largest stockholder is converting, I think, preferred to common or something, and
Yeah.
announcing that they're going to sell some of the shares in the market. People are worried they're going to get diluted because of it, and so it caused a big sell-off yesterday. But
Well, my Rivian is still above $12, so I'm happy.
yep, yeah, not much change. The EV stocks, there's not much change in the last day. It looks like they're all down like a few cents, kind of thing. But it's interesting. Every day I look at NVIDIA, it seems to be going down. I don't know why the downward trend for NVIDIA or AMD. Same thing. I think I have Microsoft on here too. Yeah, let's see what Microsoft gives us.
Yeah, they're down too.
Yeah, down a little bit, but that's really in 39 cents on a $500
Well,
stock.
the only
Isn't real significant.
your new scale is up 1%.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. After a beating like it took
After
yesterday,
it took a real beating, yeah. There's some people trying to definitely buying the dip, huh?
That NNE is at $29. It was at 37 when Motley Fool published that thing saying we think it's only worth $9.
Oh,
and it took a bit of a beating over that. The problem with all those stocks in the SMR space is almost none of them have any revenue.
Yeah,
and so it's all sort of speculative.
They're still R&D at this point, right?
Yeah, they're all basically tech companies that haven't really brought anything to market. So we'll see where that goes. Anyways, my next topic is this deal between Smart and Mercedes. And
now that's one I haven't seen, so you'll have to elucidate.
So China has been called 50 years ahead of the curve As automaker Smart has partnered with Mercedes to create a new EV with monstrous performance. Now, when I hear the word monstrous performance, I'm assuming we're talking 1,000 horsepower type of vehicle or something. That's not the case. It is
No.
not a race
Compared
car
to
type.
a normal smart car, no, you wouldn't have to do much to make it monstrous above 65 or 85 horsepower, whatever the thing is.
It's called the Smart Number 5. Is the latest vehicle to come from the Smart brand, which is backed by Mercedes and Geely. It's a plug-in hybrid with a 1.5 liter turbo gas engine and a lithium iron phosphate battery. It's capable of recharging in under 15 minutes, has a total range of 995 miles between the two.
Yeah, but what's the electric range? That's what concerns me more.
155.
That's good.
Pure electric range.
Kilometers or miles?
That's miles.
Miles. Okay,
the estimated
that's
real world
workable.
range on a single charge in real world conditions is estimated to actually be 250. So it must have like a 60 kilowatt hour battery. It can't be tiny, I'd imagine. The 1.5 liter turbo produces 161 horsepower, and the lithium iron phosphate battery working in sync. It's an SUV. It shows a lot of promise.
All right.
Let's see. The brand has something of an uphill struggle in an increasingly competitive market. In 24, Smart only sold 33,000 vehicles in China, which represented a 19% decline from the previous.
Oh, so these are only available in China?
Yeah, it looks like it to start with.
Oh, that's a shame.
But Mercedes has put a target on it of 50,000. So we'll see where that could.
Is that 50,000 what, dollars or 50,000
No,
models?
units. 50,000
okay.
models. Yeah. BYD is now outselling Tesla in Europe and the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Xiaomi has created so much demand that the YU7 earned 250,000 orders in its first 18 hours. Will this become popular? Who knows?
And the CEO is urging people, go buy somebody else because we can't keep up with demand.
That's funny. that is really something. I don't know. Well, I get into tariffs another time. Discussion on that. I want to talk. Something interesting came up. So, and I'm sure some of this has to do still with the $4,000 tax credit on used EVs.
Mm-hmm.
But Tesla is offering to lease their used cars.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so they're offering to lease their used cars with zero down as it desperately tries to move cars.
Yeah.
Zero down as low as $215 a month will lease a Model 3 for 2 years at 10,000 miles a year.
Yeah.
That's a really smoking deal on a Tesla.
As long as you're only driving 5,000 miles a year, I guess.
No, that's 10,000 miles a year.
Oh, it's 10,000. Oh, okay.
10,000 per year.
Okay, so it's
not 10,000 total. Yeah.
Okay, it's 20,000 over the 2-year period.
Yeah, and they have another deal where you could do a 12-month lease for 15,000 miles, no down payment, but there's an acquisition fee of $695, which the other one doesn't have. You basically have first and last month's lease, so about $430 you're out the door on the Tesla Model 3. That's a pretty cheap deal to be able to go in and get a car
and try out an electric car without any strings other than paying the lease payment every month for.
Well, one of the big things, big reasons a lot of people have leased EVs is because by the time the lease is over, they're still generally under the factory warranty. So they've never had, and we're not talking just the battery warranty, the whole car, right?
Right.
And so it's been for people who have leased EVs, there's not been any worry about, I guess, weird stuff happening with the car or whatever, worry about getting stuck with a lemon kind of thing because they're turning the car back in. And, for the most part, I think.
So the source of these are previously leased Teslas, or these are
Yes.
people came and had previously bought a new Tesla, drove it for 2 years, and then traded in and got a new one.
It could be either.
Yeah.
However, Tesla got the car back, but I think a lot of it is the leases. That's just a really interesting way to be putting that back in the market. I mean, that's a strong
in
deal.
theory, because we don't have any dealers here in Omaha, you still have to go to Minneapolis or Kansas City somewhere to get one of these cars, unless they're letting them do leases through the repair shops.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It didn't specify.
But we do know that at least one of those cars was delivered to the new owner autonomously, we're told.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah. Well, I
maybe
watched that.
maybe you should lease one here in Omaha, Dave, and then ask them to send it to Omaha autonomously from Kansas City. What do you think of that?
I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's that'd be a pretty a decent deal. Anyways, all right, we're gonna have more Tesla news, more excitement for Tesla. We're gonna show one of everybody's favorite pictures. People love this stuff. It's not on fire, but it probably was. It looks like it got in the fire. It might just be mud.
Oh yes. I'm glad. Yeah, I searched high and low to find a. I mean, some of the cars I was looking at were like totally demolished. Others were burnt. This one was the most damaged, least damaged of the ones I could find. So,
yeah, it's just a scratch. You got to be able to buff that out.
Yeah, it should be able to buff that right out. Of course, this article has to do with the fact that you've got insurance companies now that are saying, we don't think we want to insure your Cybertruck. Geico and who was the other one? Starts with an H, I think. But anyway, these insurance companies are
Hanover.
Yeah, Hanover. Yeah, have said nope. We're not going to leave. We're not going to insure your vehicle anymore. So this was one of the articles I worked that my SI synthetic intelligence staff worked on this morning.
Well, it's good. It's good. It's good information. It's I'm constantly, and I've told you this before, I'm constantly, and so is our editor, we're constantly looking at what can we do with AI to make everything simpler. We don't want to produce AI generated content, right? It's nice having real humans provide content.
Yep.
But damn, I'll tell you, there's a lot of AI stuff out there that's really popular, that's done really well, and it's
well. You know what I like in doing. If you'll notice that most of these articles that I'm now having the AI help me generate. I mean, I'm asking it the questions. I'm sort of directing what I'm wanting it to look for and emphasize. But one of the things I really like is I said, now when you're done, you're writing this up, list all the sources that you've used for this particular story, and list them at the end of the article, and make them clickable so people can go through and do the additional research. And I think that's a valuable add-on to what we're doing at EV World.
No, I think that's excellent. Yeah, because here you got your sources that you used for putting this together. I think that's really good. And that's one of the natures of you got to make sure that it's not just spitting out nonsense. It's really weird when you get AI to start hallucinating, but
I was working with Copilot this morning on a project, and it just never got it. I mean, I tried to give it as specific as instructions as I could, and it was like it was in a loop. It's just not listening to me. It's doing what it wants to do, and so I said, okay, I'm going to take the question, I'm going to move it over, and I took it over to Claude, and let Claude work on the problem.
Yeah, so Tesla's, obviously we mentioned the two. There's just a challenge getting the vehicles insured. because while the vehicle is structurally robust, it's been very difficult and expensive to repair. Even minor damage can result in bills over 13 grand, and parts availability remains limited. With fewer than 5,000 units sold in the second quarter, insurers are struggling to assess risk and set premiums. I saw that the Ford F-150 passed up the Cybertruck as the most sold electric truck last quarter.
Yeah, probably.
Now
they're just not. I don't know if they even fired up the assembly line in Texas. Because they shut it down for a period of time.
Yeah. So
they've got
5,000 and a quarter. Ford sells about 1,000 F-150s per day.
Oh yeah,
on average.
Yeah.
That's not the EV, but just overall.
No, just regular, F-150s. regular gas power.
Yeah. So I mean, EV truck sales are still just a drop in the bucket in that market. It's going to take a while. That may be, in my opinion, trucks are probably going to be the last, part of gas vehicals to go kicking and screaming.
But you got Slate, right, with their little pickup truck, and then you've got Ford coming out with, we think it's going to be called the Ranchero electric pickup truck, probably in the class of a Ranger or something like the old Ranger. So
no, I mean, those are going to sell, but there's still a huge market in the United States for full size pickup trucks, and so it's a challenge. Probably I was reading some different reviews and different vehicles, and kind of the consensus is the best one is actually the GMC version, not the regular Chevy version.
Oh, okay.
The GMC version is a much better done than even the Chevy.
And this is the electric
on the electric trucks
version, right?
Yeah, and Chevy, because of their ginormous batteries, they kind of solved the towing problem to a degree. Like if you were a contractor that had to use your truck to tow a trailer to the job site and back, you probably want to get one of the Chevys or the Hummers, the Chevy, the GM, or the Hummer, due to their enormous batteries and their better towing capacity. It's just that hopefully you don't ever have to go to a charger, because
it'll take forever.
It'll take forever.
Yeah, with 200 kilowatt hours or some crazy number like that.
200 is a Hummer.
Yeah,
it's referred to as a Hummer now. That's my unit of my American unit of weights and measures for 200 kilowatt hours.
A Hummer. Yes. It's a Hummer of a battery.
Right. Yeah, we measure things here in football fields and washing machines.
Yeah,
and now Hummers. Yeah. Oh, I couldn't tell you how often YouTube recommends me to watch that Saturday Night Live video about George Washington and why we're fighting for our own weights and measures. And he's talking to the troops. Oh, it's hilarious,
Okay.
And he's talking about, we'll have a word for 2,000 pounds, but not one for 1,000 pounds. And just different things. Like how many yards are in a mile, no one knows, but we do know that it's 5,280 feet.
And pardon my French, what the hell is a stone? Big stone, little stone?
Isn't it 20 pounds?
I have no.
I'm pretty sure. I think a stone is 20 pounds.
I still don't know how much I weigh in stones.
Oh yeah. So I play a lot of tennis, and people ask sometimes like how far out a tennis ball was, and I'll say, oh, like a cubit.
A cubit.
I'll use some really random, unit of measure.
Let's see. That's from here to here, right? A cubit.
Oh, I was thinking it was from here to here.
Oh, it could be.
Yeah, it's supposed to be about 1.5 feet. Yeah, it's supposed to be roughly about 18 inches, but man, it's like
it'll come in handy when we have to build our ark, right?
Yeah, you got to remember to make your ark 300 cubits. But I got to use some kind of weird system of weights and measures. Anyways, but this insurance thing. So some customers have canceled Cybertruck orders because their insurance quotes have been over $500 a month. Yes. Or denied coverage outright. car insurance isn't cheap, especially in certain parts of the country. I could see it easily being $500 a month when you're buying a $100,000 pickup truck.
Right. That
You
nobody
know,
knows how to repair, and there are no
yeah,
spare parts you can grab off and slap on the side of it.
yeah.
No.
So something has to come up to fix that issue. I'm surprised um, Tesla is not doing their own insurance on the Cybertruck.
Yeah, I asked it that was one of the questions I asked, and apparently it does not at the moment extend to the Cybertruck. Although there was some reference in there to Texas. Now maybe Texas might, because obviously insurance has to be approved on a state by state basis. So it may be
Hmm.
that they just don't have enough of those vehicles out there to justify the expense of doing the necessary paperwork to get, approval to offer insurance across the profile of states that the vehicle's in.
All right, so let's talk about the Genesis car company, which is part of the Hyundai
Oh,
Kia group. It's
yeah,
their high-end vehicle. Genesis. So I love the look of the GV70s and GV80s. So they make them both in gas and electric, and I think they look awesome. But apparently, the electrified GV70 is joining the G80, which was just canceled 2 weeks ago in the United States because nobody seems to want them. They're just not selling.
yeah.
They've got the GV60 will be the sole remaining electric vehicle in Genesis American lineup. Their plan is to sell more hybrids in the U.S. They're just, I think they're nice looking vehicles. They've just got a real quality look to
Yeah,
them. And
would it change if they decided to make a pickup truck?
I don't know. That would be kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
There is a Hyundai truck. I mean, I could see
Hmm.
them doing it for Genesis as well. You just never know. The GV70 was one of the vehicles that did qualify for the $7,500 tax credit, and so
Yeah, because
when that goes away,
they're all made where? Here in Texas, or they're made in Texas,
Georgia,
Georgia. Yeah. So they're American made.
Georgia,
Although how many of
yeah.
the
Hyundai is now weighing whether to shift the GV70 output. Yeah, they may just make what's remaining in Korea and export units back to the U.S. Oh, the Alabama line, once used for the GV70, redirected toward higher volume hybrids, particularly the Santa Fe hybrid, whose output has tripled in the last 6 months. Well, that's good to see. So demand for hybrids has really shot up.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess that's a good thing to see going on.
And you would think they've got, if they've got full electric battery technology, why not just take a look at doing a PHEV, a plug-in hybrid version of the car, and get
Right.
the best of both worlds. So
Yeah. So when we talk about Moses Lake, Washington, what do we usually talk about? We're usually talking about like electric aircraft, right?
actually, Moses Lake, it first came on my radar because that's where BMW made the carbon fiber that went into the i3.
Oh,
I'd never heard of the place. I've been
okay.
there once, but that's where it first came on my radar. It was doing the carbon fiber for BMW, and then of course it came up with became a site for testing electric aircraft. Let's put it that way.
So battery company Group 14,
Yeah,
household name there, Group 14.
yeah.
Never heard of them before. Raised $463 million, bolstering its global footprint amid clean tech headwinds. So they're a next gen battery materials manufacturer. They've
Apparently,
actually raised more than $1 billion from investors.
apparently headquartered in China, I think.
They're headquartered in Woodinville,
Well,
Washington.
the local Oh, Woodinville, great place to go for wine, folks. Just really
There you
some
go.
nice wine restaurants there. My daughter's taking us to. So yeah,
As
so
more cars become autonomous, we're going to encourage alcoholism again.
absolutely. Go
Yeah.
to Woodinville and try out some of the wine cellars there. So, but anyway, it seems to me I
Oh,
read
it's South
something.
Korean. South Korean.
Yeah, I knew there was an Asian connection there somewhere, and the Woodinville one is what do they call that? Bama, or there's some
BAM. BAM
BAM,
3.
the company that's
BAM
making,
2 and BAM 3.
yeah, that's the company that's building the facility over in Moses Lake.
Okay. Let me see. They are developed a silicon anode technology using
Yeah,
lithium ion batteries. It holds more power and requires less time for recharging than traditional graphite anode batteries. It's suitable for use in EVs, consumer electronics, and utility scale batteries. Can help meet power demand for data centers. Um, they broke ground on the Battery Active Materials 2 or BAM 2 facility in April of 23 and started
and
manufacturing in late.
I think there
Um,
was a holdup or something,
yeah, it looks
wasn't
like there was a
there?
holdup. They aimed to
Yeah,
start manufacturing by late 24. Its new start date is early 26.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's
Well,
a
that's where
challenge.
I think that's where that fundraising came for was to get the money to get that plant finished and producing material.
It's a small company. They have 400 employees worldwide. Um, let's see.
And how many robots?
I'm not sure if it says. They did get a $100 million grant from the Department of Energy in 22 as part of the Infrastructure Act.
And hopefully it's in the bank and not being able to be clawed back.
In September, it was awarded a $200 million Department of Energy grant to build a Moses Lake plant that provides silane gas, an essential ingredient for manufacturing silicon battery materials. So currently, over 90% of anode grade graphite comes from China. And so our silicon battery material is manufactured a high performance alternative that helps de risk the supply chain. Every ton of their product displaces 5 tons of Chinese graphite with a homegrown solution.
Yeah.
So, that's obviously something that going forward is going to be quite necessary. I mean, it's not just electric cars, like they're saying, it's also battery storage and
Yep.
consumer electronics.
Yep.
So those are obviously two big things.
Roll on, Columbia. Roll on.
All right, Bill,
Because
you have.
the reason those plants are located there because of the hydroelectric generated by the Grand Coulee, which is just up the river from Moses Lake, literally up the coulee from from Moses Lake. But they've got all that hydropower, and that map you showed earlier, you noticed that all that power from being used in Washington State is hydropower. Although there's a fair number, if you drive through the center, what they call the scablands of central Washington, you'll see lots of wind turbines. They're using a lot of wind turbine there as well.
Good. All right. So let's talk about Martin Fleshman and Stanley Pons and their
Yeah.
cold fusion saga.
A
So
show of hands, how many people remember when that made the news and was big front, like Wall Street Journal front page news? Anybody? I do. It's back.
man,
Sort of, kind of.
man.
Okay, so cold fusion. The idea behind cold fusion, with regular hot fusion that we're still working on, you got to raise the temperature inside the reactor to actually beyond the surface of the sun to get the electrons or whatever to fuse, right? And that's the fusion part, and that's how we generate the energy. So what was so revolutionary about Pons and Fleischmann, and they were at, I think, University of Utah, I think is where this work was being done, is that they claimed that they had found a way to take palladium and deuterium, which is, of course, basically H3O, something like that. Anyway, it's a larger molecule of basically of hydrogen, and you take and those two working together generates a excess amount of heat and electrons or protons or whatever again that comes off of that. And this could conceivably be a way to generate energy without having to take and put the sun at the center of a power generator. So it generated a lot of excitement. The only problem was nobody else could take and replicate it. So whether they were just cheating or whether they got an anomalous, reading over time, or their instruments was faulty, we don't know. But apparently, there's been. In fact, I actually did a interview. This was probably in the early 2000s. Did an interview with one of the researchers at the Naval Research Lab, because the Naval Research Lab had taken an interest in this, and they too were trying to figure out what happened and can we make it work. And they're not the only ones. So that was the genesis of the article that's on the website today. Just going back and looking at who these guys were, what they claimed to have done, and what's been done subsequent to that, because they really got. I think they're not described as infamous, but they got a lot of really negative reactions from both the media and from the scientific community. In fact, I think they both had to moved overseas to Europe just to get away from it here in the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah. It's quite a story.
Yeah. So one of the, obviously one of the big things about fusion is at the moment it takes more energy to create fusion than it creates. But the idea is that, at some point we're going to get beyond that to where we're able to create more energy than it uses. But if a fusion were occurring at the claimed rates, the experiment should have produced lethal amounts of neutron radiation and gamma rays.
Yep.
The detected levels were far too low and inconsistent to be successful nuclear signatures.
Yeah, a lot of people tried it and just were not successful to replicate it. And of course, that's a no-no in the scientific community. If you want something to be proven, you have to have other people replicate what you're doing, and nobody, despite trying, nobody could really get it to replicate. Although I interviewed another guy who was out of Italy who had made some similar claims that his technology was also generating excess unexplainable amounts of energy. But again, was it or just faulty readings, or was he just trying to, be a flim-flam man?
No, who knows? So most laboratories worldwide failed to reproduce the results. When some detected excess heat, they couldn't detect the expected nuclear byproducts and vice versa. Announcing results at a press conference before peer review violated scientific protocol and raised red flags about the quality of their work. The amount of fusion needed to produce the observed heat should have generated obvious nuclear radiation and byproducts that simply weren't there in sufficient quantities. Well, there sure is a whole lot of excitement over fusion. I guess, there's excitement over fission, again, with the SMR stuff coming out, the small modular reactors. But I hear people ask me questions about nuclear fusion all the time. And then, I just can revert back to our tritium discussion about the fact that there's not enough tritium to power a reactor. Tritium.
Yeah.
To not even power one reactor, never mind a whole lot of them. So that's going to be a challenge, creating the tritium with the CANDU reactors.
Yeah, and if the Fleischmann-Pons thing worked, is there enough palladium?
Yeah, it's interesting. We keep getting into these catch-22s with some of these technologies.
I mean, that's what we're using palladium right now, mostly for catalytic converters. But then if we all go to electric cars, we don't need catalytic converters. So therefore, that frees up that palladium. So,
Yeah, if we could make this work.
yeah.
So the tritium is probably the bigger issue, right?
Yeah.
I mean, man, gonna have to go find me some tritium at $30-something million a kilo, right?
$33 million a kilogram. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know where I can dig some up. Might have to make my own CANDU reactor to start producing that. Anyways. All right. Well, Bill, that was all I had for today.
Hey, that was fun. We covered a lot of territory here, and
Yeah.
again, there's folks, there's so much more on the website that we don't have time to touch on. So if you want to keep up with what's going on in the world of EVs, go to evworld.com. That's where you're going to have it. We'll try to give you the latest. Although here of late, I've been really having a lot of enjoyable time taking and creating these articles with the assistance of my synthetic intelligence staff.
There you go. All right, guys. All right.
Bye.
Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back on Tuesday. Otherwise, have a great day.